What's up, guys and gals? My name is Splattercat, and we are here at the Nerd Castle with the next episode of Sunless Sea. We are in Khan's Heart, which is pretty cool. It's kind of this alternate culture that's vying for superiority with the British Empire on the western end of the map. Is this guy gonna try and attack me again? I thought we made frenzies already, pal. No, we didn't make frenzies. I just got you off my back for a minute. Well, you're slower than me, you rotund bastard, so get out of here. We're gonna head to the west, I guess. We gotta find Polythrem. We have no choice here. We really need to find whatever this place is. We've got a little bit of fuel left. I think that this is probably gonna take us all the way back to whence we came. But we've gone through about 6 fuel. I think it's probably time to start heading westward again. We unfortunately haven't found the place that we needed to go for our quest for the bald man with the knife, who looked rather angry about all this. And so since we're still holding his money, maybe we'll find Polythrem out here somewhere. What is this? It's something. What it is, I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and lower the engines and we'll have a look. It's actually unmarked. Pigmote Isle. There is no habitation in sight, no market, very little in the way of a maintained dock. A stretch of sand thickens into damp black earth from which sprout stunted palms. Not quite. Tall fungal growths with frond-like caps, as if someone sculpted the idea of a tree from a mushroom. These growths appear sparse near the beach, but clump closer together the farther inland one goes, clustering tightly into a sort of forest around the base of the island's central hill. You can see off in the distance dots of fire flecking the horizon and hear clamor, shouts, and shot. If you look to the quay, you can make out unusual shapes of two tiny figures. We disembark. As you step onto the quay, you hear clamor, shouts, and shot. You can see off in the distance two tiny figures stand a little bit farther down the quay, unmoving, rather as if awaiting your choice. I don't know. The figures are rodents. To your left is a Ratus Faber wearing goggles, a blacksmith's apron, and assortment of tools. To your right is an unusually large guinea pig wearing a helmet and a breastplate, reminiscent of nothing so much as the High Middle Ages. The rat steps forward and bows. Welcome, Captain, to Rat Star Island. I am Edgar, second chief engineer of the 3rd Rat Brigade. I invite you to avail yourself of the food and fuel at our expense. The only cost to you is a choice. The rat steps back at precisely the same moment. With what appears to be the ease of a long habit, the guinea pig scuttles forward and makes a declamatory chirp. Welcome, Captain, to the Isle of Cavian. I am Lady Augusta Devereaux, Swinch of the Blackwater Swinches, Seneschal to our King Gracenall, first of his name. I invite you to avail yourself of food and fuel at our expense. The cost to you is a choice. The two stand at attention, looking at you expectantly. What choice? The figure, let's see here. The question must need to be tentative. They sound so rehearsed. Two remarkable rodents sit squat before you. To whom will you speak first? Let's talk to the Seneschal. How does an armored guinea pig manage to look so regal? An effortless eloquence. The Seneschal clears her throat with a delicacy to rival the Duchess' own before speaking. Gracenall the king, our lord and sovereign, full 7 months hath sojourned on the sea, conquered this land, and won the southern main. Now no fortress against him shall remain, no city walls be left for him to gain, save the rats that squeak behind the mountain. Unlikely was the lamb of our deliverance, assured shall be our glories and their fall, when our lady's eye restored be to our hall. The Seneschal composes herself, then adds, we saw truth and beauty by the light in our lady's eye on Mount Cavian, but the rats, with their guns and their chatter and their peasants' politics, stole it from us. We will subjugate them and take it back. They are a rabble, and we will rule them with the steel-shod velvet of our paws. Will you join us? What about the engineer? So it's basically going to be the rats versus... Yeah, it's going to be the rats versus the guinea pigs. His eyes have a wave-cold glint to them, and he wears his scars like jewels. You ask the chief engineer to elaborate. He looks at you for a long and measured moment before speaking gruffly. We came to this island to make a home for ourselves away from London. It's cats and snufflers. It's rat-skin suits. We came to live as citizens of our own republic. We came with our tools, our teeth, and our clever hands, and we made a beautiful city by the light of the rat star that shone bright and blue on Mount Ararat. The chief engineer nods towards the distant hill. One day we braved the depths of the chicken woods, and from the top of Mount Ararat we plucked the rat star to be our light, our beacon, and our flag. But the pigs of Cavi saw the light, and they lusted for it. They sent armies to rule us and steal our star. We will not permit them to take what is ours. We will resist to our last breath. Will you join us in defeating them? Alright, let's make a choice. On one hand, the Seneschal is very classy. On the other hand, we can attempt to broker peace. That might be interesting. Or we could favor the chief engineer. So we can go with the rebels, we can go with the defending force that are trying to forge out their Cinco de Mayo, or we can go with the seneschal. I think that, or we could broker peace. Broker peace, maybe? Surely their commonalities are more numerous than their differences. Perhaps you can make them get along. The chief engineer and the seneschal share a look and then regard you with scornful amusement. Yes, smirks the chief engineer, you're obviously much cleverer than us. Oh, much, murmurs the seneschal. You clearly know us much better than we know ourselves. Apparently idealism won't help here. God, let's favor the chief engineer then. He seems grumpy but honest. Also, you've seen the rat-made weapons can do, and perhaps you'd rather not be on the receiving end of them. You extend a hand to the chief engineer, who shakes it grimly. The seneschal hisses and chatters her teeth in disgust, but keeps her distance. You've made the right choice, says the chief engineer. Let me show you around. I want them. They're defending themselves. I mean, the chief engineer leads you to a northern side of the island, skirting the chicken woods. You pass through a number of what can only be termed checkpoints, as fierce-eyed rats shoulder their derringers and salute the captain engineer. Soon you come upon a small colony, smaller than some of the infestations you've encountered in London flats. Only perhaps 50 Ratus Faber altogether, working diligently to fortify their side of the island. Oh, so they split the island in half with a wall. Okay, maybe they're not... Well, one side's defending itself from the other. It's trying to enslave it, so whatever. The first thing you notice is a brilliant light beaming out from a stump of chickenwood about 6 feet high. It bathes the whole settlement in a clean blue glow and is almost too bright to look at. By its light, you can see several raised mounds of earth, suggesting shallow tunnels. An efficient fishing operation is set up by the water, and albino rat men's nets while the other stab sharpened sticks into the waves. Further inland is a barracks where a sergeant barks drills at a small squadron of fighters. Your arrival draws attention. Several rats pause in their work to look at you curiously. Welcome to Murenia, says the chief engineer, voice warm with pride. It's not much to look at right now, but it will be once we've rousted the Cavies. Take a stroll around while I summon the war council. With that, he vanishes into one of the mounds and leaves you to explore. Are there any shops? I guess we'll head towards the Rat Star. An excitable-looking rat is peering through smoky goggles, twitching her whiskers and making notes on what appears to be real paper. It's not a star, of course, not really, but try explaining that to the others. The chief engineer doesn't want me working too hard to convince them, says this is better for morale, but just look at it. Look! She offers you her goggles, and you manage to work them over just enough of one of your eyes to see the truth of what's in the bowl. It's scintillac, but unlike any you've ever seen before. Blue as a sapphire, but more brilliant. Something about the clarity of its color is tremendously soothing. The chief science offer, I think it's supposed to say officer, titters with pleasure as you hand her goggles back. Those of us who have been to the Cavi side of the island and lived to tell of it say that there's plenty of glow there, plenty of bright in the water all around, but nothing like this. We took this from the island center, Mount Ararat, but it's not only it's a mountain, of course, any more than this is a real star. It's hollow. There's sweet water inside and coral crawling all up the walls of it. There's nothing that glows save this. It's ours now, and no one can take it from us. I guess we'll head to the barracks. The drill sergeant appears to be sizing you up. Can this be all the rats have to fight with? You approach the drill sergeant and go so far as to salute her, which earns you a grunt of satisfaction. The sergeant dismisses her troops and offers a bit of chickenwood jerky to gnaw on. There's more of us below ground, she explains, but not enough. The Cavies are bigger and there's more of them. We're better with weapons, but we haven't got the stuff to make them with. Most of us came here with stowaways and brought nothing but food, tools, and the fur on our backs. We can fish and we can nibble the chicken woods, but we can't make guns out of trees. The Cavies came with their own steamer and seem to have endless supplies. We raid them sometimes, but there's so few of us, we can never hold on to territory we've gained for long. But that's of no consequence. All we want is to be left in peace and build our republic. And the Rat Star, she adds thoughtfully after a moment. Of course, we want that too. Okay. I guess we'll head to the beach. What kind of fish might they be catching here? Never heard of a rat that mends nets. An albino rat smiles quietly at you from his mending work, dainty and a little shy. Chickenwood floats, especially when it's dried out and sealed, so we were able to paddle out a bit and cast our nets. We came upon all sorts of things, blind fish, crabs, sometimes a chunk of broken tentacle. But the fishing would never be so good without the Rat Star, he beams in kind. I think it only draws good fish and keeps the scary ones at bay. I know the chief science officer doesn't believe it, but I do. That light is our livelihood. Alright, well let's go ahead and look at the War Council. You've done all the exploring you want. Time to take action. A concurrence, a rat and a making quality is now too. The chief engineer emerges from underground with a motley assortment of other rats. He introduces them as weapons experts, strategists, and field commanders. So you're going to help us beat the Cavies, says with a hard edge to his voice. But how exactly? We can offer assistance with strategy since we have a lot of veils. We can offer guns. We have a lot of supplies, that's true. I think we have a high risk. Our irons are not good enough. I would figure with 60 we would have a better chance right there. I guess we'll offer guns. You'd rather not get directly involved, but you can spare some scrap metal shot and maybe a deck gun. Your crew haul one of the deck guns to shore, and the chief engineer nods in gratitude. It's a clumsy bugger, and no mistake, we could break it down into parts easily enough. There'll be plenty of scrap left over to make bullets. In exchange, the rats give you their provisions. The salted fish proves surprisingly restorative, and dried chicken wood appears to make tolerable fuel. As they pass by the glow of the rat star on their way back to the ship, each member of your crew seems to hold their head a little higher and breathe a little easier. So we get 1 fuel, we get 1 hearts, we get 2 supplies, and we lost 5 terror. We can invite one of the Ratta's favor on board. The chief engineer can't leave the colony, but he relays your request to his people. The albino rat you saw mending nets steps shyly forward. I'm good at fixing things, he says earnestly, and I'd like to see the rest of the world. You wait for him to gather up some effects and say goodbye to his family before accompanying him on board. Yay! We have a rat man on board. And I think we needed a cook. He's probably an engineer. We have a port report from Pigmote Island. Cool. Well, that was the best that we could do. We played our little part in the storyline. There's no shops. And the albino tinkerer. So he gives us veils +2. And I assume that's a mascot. Alright, that makes sense. So we can get 2 more veils. That puts us up to 62. We're very, very good at veils. I'm thinking the 2 irons is probably a better thing to do right now since that's a lower stat. Let's depart this place. I wasn't expecting to spend as much time here as we actually did. And so maybe it's time for us to be off. I still have no idea where Polythrem is. I should probably look. Let's go take a jaunt around. I mean, there's a lot of empty space right here, so we could find it in the western... Ooh, there's a big shark right there. He's coming right for us. Still not brave enough to fight with any of the creatures we've seen on the island. What I would like to do is maybe we'll go kind of upsies and downsies right here. We'll kind of do an M formation to figure out what's out in the middle, and maybe we'll find Polythrem. Godfall also, when the game patched this morning, it said there was new events in Polythrem, so maybe we'll try that out. I'm sorry, it said there was new events in Godfall, so maybe we'll give that a go. Looks like there is something up here. What? I don't know. Looks like there's some kind of maze. Can we dock in it? Discover the labyrinth of eels. Interesting. I had an idea where it was a charitable organization that would deliver like Japanese seafood to people in need. It's called Eels on Wheels, but you know, they didn't like the idea. Apparently it wasn't up to their exacting standards. It was worth a shot. If you don't try, you'll never succeed. You'll fail a lot though. Just be ready for that contingency. Well, this thing called Polythrem appears to be... It might be out to the east, I just don't know. We may have to spend some time away from London, which is not an idea that fills me with any sort of happiness because we are going to lose a lot of money in the process because it's expensive to buy supplies out here. The ground is throbbing right there, which makes me feel nervous. We're being chased by a shark and the ground is throbbing. We found the tides of appetite. Can we sail across these without bad things happening? You hear the voices that will not be drowned. This is the sea of voices. We are close to Polythrem, where nothing is truly dead. So maybe to the south of us? I don't know. We'll have to go take a look. There's the bearded pirates right there. We obviously can't afford to fight them. The last time I fought them, they killed me with 1 shot, and it was ugly. It made me sad. It looks like there's something off to the south. Let's make a go of it. You discovered Forlorn. Oh, right. We found it at just the last second. Good. And so we discovered Obey as well. Forlorn, Endure, Obey. These appear to be some kind of chants for the pirate monks. This might be, I don't know. We'll figure out what Polythrem is as soon as we get to shore. I guess they'll have to tell us because I am part of the uninitiated with regards to all this. I have no clue what they're talking about with any of this. Discovered Commingle. Sounds like the kind of place one could enjoy. And there we are. Let's drop off our 1,000 whatever here, 1,000 echoes. Taciturn claymen. Here is screaming. That's not reassuring. Taciturn claymen, evasive closed colonies, walking like humans, cobbles that groan underfoot, on the hills above a palace villa of marble. But even that writhes like buried bones in an earthquake. Let's go ahead and collect the cheery man's cargo. A great temple has been wounded. It will be years in the dying. It groans and shivers, and the claymen avoid the place out of fear and respect. But you meet one of their number in a shattered chamber where the altar once stood. You lost 1,000 echoes. The clayman swallows the coins in handfuls, for safety or not, out of appetite you assume, and hands you a crate of whispering souls. Human, the souls back home are all but silent. Perhaps there are souls of shares, hats, swords. That's Polythrem for you. I don't even know what they're talking about right now. You can return to the Blind Bruiser in London. Don't lose your cargo. So we've got another unstamped crate. We lost 1,000 echoes. Let's go to the shops and see if there's anything here. They have Stygian ivory, which sells for 30 echoes. I think you could get Stygian ivory somewhere else for 20-ish, as I recall. And so what we'll do is we'll talk about Polythrem on our little note right here. While I sit here, I'll move things around my desk. And finding all of these trade locations is beneficial to us, because then we can start making serious cash once we get further in. If we can find a place where we can get like a 3 echo profit off everything that we're carrying, and then in that situation we could bring full cargo over, we'll get maybe 60 echoes, we'll come back with the port reports, and we'll be able to make a couple hundred each run. I may do some of it off camera because that's going to get boring doing it over and over again, but we need to make money so that we can buy new ships and things. And so Stygian ivory is selling for 30 echoes in Polythrem. That's all they've got, though. They've got no other supplies. Let's take a look around the city, and we can gather intelligence. The king with 100 hearts rules from his palace above the city. He's never seen, he makes no treaties with other lands, but there's unrest in the air. The claymen you speak to are obedient and humble, but they speak nervously of those who are not, the maimed, the rebellious, and the unfinished. So there's another port report. We could take shore leave. We could drink beer that wails from the cups that sob, if you like that sort of thing. It's an expensive place to get rid of our terror. We don't have to worry about it. Our terror isn't high enough right now to worry me. And that's it. We can carry claymen to London. This will be available very soon, so I think that's content that's not quite in the game. Although these little events, I've programmed a little bit in my time, and the little events that they've got at each of these locations don't take very long to program, I don't think. I mean, I've programmed little text-based things myself, and if you have a singular location, they're not so bad until things get convoluted later on. It's once you start making the different places reference each other and interact with one another that it can get a little bit iffy. I think we'll go to the Cumaean Canal. Let's go to Godfall. We'll hit the do we have the supplies, actually? We have 7 fuel. Truth and Dreams. Ooh, they might outrun us right there. Please don't run into us. Let's just make for the Cumaean Canal right now. And with the fuel that we have left, I think that's going to be about as far as we can make it. If the fuel starts to get low, what we'll do is we'll just make a cut straight for London, which may have to happen. We're pretty far out right now. A lot farther than I had expected. And so it's interesting the way that with this game you don't feel a sense of terror, but there's definitely that abiding feeling that you're not going to get everything done whenever you play. I always feel like I'm just barely going to make it back into port before something bad happens. We've got another Truth and Dreams. Let's see, the Neath. The cavern that holds the Untersee is prowled by dreams. There's a story that it was once the skull of a dead god. Perhaps that would explain it. Let's listen to our dreams. The ship crosses a desert, not a Z. Black sand whispers against the hull, sand like grains of glittering night. Your crew sit on deck at a long table lined with candles, eating a rich red feast. A reckoning, one remarks as she spears a goblet of meat with her fork. It's not to be postponed indefinitely. To the north, a light bulges hernially above the horizon, a searing kind of sunlight. So we gained 20 fragments, and then we gained 5 terror, so we're sitting at 67 right now. We'll probably want to start being careful. Luminescent beasts like eyeless dolphins play in your wake. Okay, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if we're going to make it to... Well, we'll make it to the Cumaean Canal. It only took us 1 fuel to get from there to there, so I think we should be able to make the haul from Cumaean Canal back on up to London so that we can get everything done in one big run. It took us 2 episodes to get it done, but we should have a nice little fistful of cash waiting for us if we can make it back to London. And then additionally, if we could take a couple prizes on the way back, like 2 or 3, we should be lined up for some decent money. So Giannotti Harbor it is. In we go. Let's go to the shops. We'll have a look around first. They're just selling fuel and supplies. Nothing that I really need. They have no officers on board to hire in. We can go to listen for surface gossip. So the tales of the surface linger here. It's their lifeline to a warmer place. And so we got a card game ends badly when one surface sailor knifes another for all the unusual reasons. The other players scrabble from the coins that spill from her pockets, but you snatch a scrap of paper from the overlook, curious markings, dates, times, code names, spies work. So we have moves in the great game. Interesting. I don't remember who wanted that, but somebody wanted that. Oh, the Admiral wants that. Okay. Well, we are a faithful servant of Her Majesty, so we might think about taking that back to the Admiral and seeing what lovely things we can get out of it. Let's get our port reports while we're here. And so the gates open and shut, the locks remain free from sabotage. If anywhere besides London is safe in all the Untersee, it's here. The surface nations have an interest in keeping the way open. So we have a perfunctory port report at the Cavian Canal. Let's fulfill our Admiralty commission. And so we get the strategic information. A deeply tanned vagabond waits in a jolly boat. His clothes are ragged and his face is filthy, but his voice and manners are educated. His message is a string of numbers and the names of 7 towns in Essex, Shropshire, and Cumbria. He insists that you repeat it back to him 3 times. He will not allow you to commit it to paper. Alright, off we go. Let's see if we can't get back to London in this episode. I'd really prefer that we make our entire round trip and handle all of our business at port before we go elsewhere. We're not going to get run down by him, are we? You would think that some of these guns and some of the... there'd be something around here protecting this. I mean, bandits are pretty close. I do think it would be an interesting thing to do to take one of these bigger ships once we get stronger. But I'm scared of them. I'm very scared of them. London should just be a short trip away here. If we find... our hunger's not high enough. I was going to say, if we find any crabs, we could go through and murder the crabs. But our hunger is not very high right now, and you've got to make best use of the crabs while you're here. When you've got crabs, you've got to make the best use of it that you can. We could hit... oh, never mind. I was going to say we could hit Godfall on the way back, but I think I'm more interested in just going back to London and being done of all this shady business. We've uncovered a huge chunk of the map. If you look, we're doing really, really well for what really amounts to like my second run in the game. We're not doing too badly. I think it's because I'm erring on the side of caution, to be honest. If you're braver than I am and you like to fight with things, you will probably find yourself dead a lot more frequently than I do. But I'm more in the let's make some money camp, so I would prefer to get a lucrative trade operation going. Looks like we just got hit by a stalagmite that fell from the ceiling, but it didn't damage the hull at all, so I guess that's acceptable. London is only a short jaunt away. I'm hoping that we get paid out decently. I prefer that entire trip we left with, I think, 350 echoes after we paid for all of our expenses and everything, so I'm hoping we come out a little bit better this time, especially after we take our shore leave and we make sure that our tear is a little bit lower. Back into London we go. I'm going to turn the lamps off since it doesn't matter how much tear we're going to have anyways. We get back to port, it's going to lower us down to 50, so we might as well save the fuel for now. And so there it is, back in London again. And we got another Nightmare Strength, that's fine. Collect messages from the Harbor Master, that's all. Someone wants to sign on, and then we have the warm congratulations. Let's do those first. Welcome home. You may ask how it is I am here to meet you, and I may remark that we have eyes in the waste and eyes in the hill. In fact, we've had more eyes than a knot oracle, and they're all glad to see you, and of course your cargo. We claim our payment. Oh, very good, very good. Please accept this small token of my thanks, and please also accept my thanks and my patron's thanks, which we, being persons of honor, what understands the true nature of dealings, is much more important. Still, spending money is always good, isn't it? Until next time. So you get 200 echoes, we get paid, and so collecting cargo for the cheery man quality's gone. God, I don't know how long this is going to keep going, but honestly, he's definitely giving us work. Let's go talk to the Admiral. We'll give him our report. And so we get 150 echoes from there, as always. We'll also submit our port reports. And so we've got Guider's Mourn. We've already done that, so we get 30 echoes. Good. And Shepherd Isle, submit as fact. A very chancy challenge. 50-50, let's go for it. Candidly, I'm not sure why you saw fit to trouble us with this nonsense. Is there anything else? Okay, so they didn't buy it. The Cavian Canal, so we get 5 echoes from there. Not really that valuable of information. If we speak with the Admiral, we have moves in the great game that we can give to him. We can ask if there's anything particular he needs. And said he wants us to go to Codex, which we've been to. And that's fine, because I needed to go back to Withers and Vetterblight to get all of the trade information from there, so that works out fantastically. That'll work out great. We'll see what moves in the Great Game does. Let's try that. He has you repeat it all twice. He doesn't take notes. It's a little beyond me, he tells you, but I have a friend in the palace who will be interested. Very interested. Thank you, and here's your fee. And so we get 50 echoes. We get 1 Admiralty's favor. Well, not as much money as I was hoping we would make, but we are moving on up. We're moving on up. So we can buy the cask of mushroom wine here. Oh, that only sells it at 1. Okay. And so the coffee beans are pretty expensive, but they may buy us an inn with the Canet. So that's something to remember as well. I haven't seen anywhere where the crates of human souls or anything sell. And so for now, the cask of mushroom wine is the best thing that we can do from here to Gainer's Morn. If we move a full, let's say that we take on a little bit more fuel and we take on a little bit more, well, we got the 10 right there, so with 20, let's say 20, kind of optimistically for making the run. If we run 20 casks, that makes us about 40 echoes. That's not very good. I mean, it's not going to make up for the cost of the supplies it's going to take to get over there. Let's have a look at the shops and see if there's anything interesting that we can buy. I know that I'd love to buy a new ship. I mean, there's a bunch of guns right here. The Caminus Yard's Hell Thrashers, that gives us plus 20 irons versus I think the plus 6 we're getting from our guns right now. Make us a little bit stronger, but at the same time, what do these do? The Withern Optical. And so we've got new lamps. They're going to give us mirrors but less veils. So it's so bright that, yeah, I don't know if it uses the consonator, the resonator. There's a lot of stuff here. God, I'm assuming that there's a way that you can make a lot of money in this game because some of these things are very, very expensive. They sell engines over here. More powerful engines consume more. What is this? The Serpentine, a shimmering complexus of steel and glass. In its heart, a Serpent King rages. Or so the magician claims. Apparently, we buy that. We're going to get that from somebody else and bring it back here as though it's some kind of magical clockwork. I think we have the Elderly Steeple engine. The next one up the tier is the Leadbeater and Stain Rod, which is going to give us 200 engine power and a bit more veils. But I don't see anything right there that's really jumping out at me. Where is it that we buy a new ship? I want to take a look at these ship prices. Oh, wow. Okay, so I've never come back over here. But it looks like we have things to sell to her. An ambiguous eolith. Some of these things were made as tools, some just look that way. We gained 1 echo. This is the product of nature, not artifice. Interesting, nevertheless. I have the very shelf for it, but if you could bring me back something worked, not evolved, the next time. So our antiquarian has increased. You've gained 1 echo, and you've lost an ambiguous eolith. We can also turn in a memory of distant shores. Since we only need 1 more point of antiquarianism to level up, I'll probably go with that. And so as the alarming scholar listens, tears well in the depths of those shining or is it blazing eyes. They overflow, splashing onto the desk blotter. Stop! She sobs at last. It's too beautiful. Allow me to bring the macaw of memories. I wish each individual tone recalled. So we lost a memory of distant shores. We've gained 10 echoes. And antiquarian has gone up to 2. Do we have multiples of those? Oh, we have 1. Okay, I'm gonna save the other one since we know what we get out now. I still don't really know what antiquarian does for me. Why does nobody want my port report for Khan's Heart? I just thought about that. Hold on, let's go back. I've got submit a port report. I've got the one from Khan's Heart. You'd think they'd be interested in it. Maybe it's because I got kicked out for... Oh, never mind. I've got the wrong menu up. I'm not paying attention. Let's go with the Polythrem. There it is. And so we've got a new accomplishment. Surveyed Polythrem. Good. 1 Admiralty's favor. 40 echoes. Not bad cash. We'll go with Pigmote. We got 10 echoes right there. Are you quite certain this is the report you wish to make? And so be it. And so we've surveyed Pigmote Island. Khan's heart. Been to the salt steppes, eh? Yes, this kind of material is always of interest. How a nation could be so barbarian and so decadent at once is beyond me. But they're terribly dangerous. In 75 echoes, and so we've surveyed that. It's looking good. It's looking very good for us right now. Let's go back to our lodgings. And as I understand it, there's a bunch of activities we can take right here because we have a lot of things like hanging out and just being around. We can write a will. Should you die, this ensures that your heir retains your lodgings and any heirlooms that you've accumulated. I don't think we've made any heirlooms yet, but I'm going to go through some of these menus in between episodes. Yeah, I think I'm going to go in between some of these options, and I'll kind of explain them in the next episode. My name is Splattercat. Thank you for joining me in the Nerd Castle for another episode of Sunless Sea. This game is a blast. I really do like this game. It's great. I will see you all in the next episode and take... Oh, there's the shipyard. That's where I buy new ships. Anyways, I'll see you all later. Take care out there, everybody, and hi-do.